Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Southbridge Cable Access here in Southbridge. I'm Shaun Moriarty here with Jim O'Brien from the Southbridge Bicentennial Committee for today's big grand parade for the Southbridge Bicentennial. And Jim, it's a beautiful day out here in Southbridge.
Oh, we couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, we've had a good morning with them already. We got in here. They started lining up about 6:30, 7 o'clock. We're just about ready to step off and get this going. You know, we had some threats of weather earlier this week, but Mother Nature sure came to our aid now.
And we've got estimates from the Southbridge Police Department of nearly 3,000 or over 3,000 people lining Hamilton and Main Street in particular. And they've been out there, depending on which person you talk to, as early as 7:30 this morning.
I was getting reports people were scouting the spots with their chairs. Looks like they're starting to come down the street here.
We've got over 50 some odd entrants in this year's parade, in the 200th anniversary rather, and we leading off with the folks who led off the Sesquicentennial in 1966, and that would be the Joseph Furco Mummers Band out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, they actually left Philly this morning about 4:30 to get up with us. You can see the up ahead is actually the color guard from the police, and the police leading the way. And the brightly colored mummers, they actually, as I said, left Philly about 4:30, went to the conference center, the hotel and conference center, and got in their colorful suits, and they basically just got here and they're ready to go.
You talked to a lot of the folks who were there for the Sesquicentennial. You yourself were there.
I was.
And one of the things that the people remember best from that Sesquicentennial is the mummers taking part in that parade and all their grandeur.
Oh, and the colorful costumes. Actually, what's really interesting, too, from the 66 parade, we actually have the only one, but Dick Vaughn, who ran WISA for so long, he's actually he handles the booking for the mummers up here in the Northeast. He marched with the mummers in 66, and he is marching in a costume today. He is actually back 50 years later marching with the mummers. And Dick was the first one off that bus when it pulled up this morning, and I wouldn't have expected anything else.
And I would not be surprised if he somehow finds a way to be there for the 250th, knowing Dick Vaughn.
Like I said, I was really there. There's the color guard and police coming, and I was not shocked that Dick was the first one off that bus. And he's probably, as we kind of come in a little closer, he's probably going to be one of the front ones, I would guess.
And this is a parade route very, very similar to that of the Sesquicentennial, a little shortened for public safety reasons and so forth.
Jim Dobney of our committee just walked by. Back 50 years later, doing it all over again like it was yesterday.
Some of these costumes almost kind of remind you of the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz, but very colorful, all kinds of different costumes in there, and always a big thrill to see the mummers come into town.
They actually do a different costume every single year. Dick's got all of them. Well, here come some of our dignitaries. Our parade grand marshal, Phil Pettinelli, and
we have Senator Ryan Fatman out of Webster, State Representative Peter Durant out of Spencer, and of course Congressman Richie Neal from Springfield. And Congressman Neal has been in Congress for a couple of decades now, representing Southbridge and a good chunk of the state.
And he was here bright and early this morning working out in the stage here. Cormier's Jeweler. One of the ideas of the parade was to actually show a history. And so where does Southbridge come from? And of course the towns that came from were Sturbridge and Charlton. And you can see behind the Sturbridge militia, but Cormier's Jewelers actually, even though they were 46, they actually sponsored us having the Sturbridge militia coming through today. That's under what would have been Captain Parker, who's being played by Doug Quigley in the purple coat way over on the left.
And Captain Parker being of the Sturbridge militia or from the famous shot heard around the world.
Absolutely. And there goes the shot. Actually, over on the left is also right here from town, Ray Petrelli, Evelyn Petrelli's son.
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn was with us on our committee
a big driving force for the committee prior to her illness.
That's correct. And here comes representing Dudley. We've got Shepherd Hill, their marching band, an award-winning band by all counts.
Yes, Shepherd Hill has one of the largest marching bands in the area, and they compete all over the place nationally and win quite a few awards. And they are a really talented group and something that the school itself takes a great deal of pride in, as you can see with these kids here, some of whom are former students of mine.
That's right, you were there, weren't you? Yes. A good-sized band.
I'll tell you, you can go up to Dudley Oxford Road any school day afternoon after school, and there's a decent chance that those guys right there, that drum corps, will be out there in the parking lot working hard on their skills.
And as we're kind of looking at the history of the town through the parade, we were founded obviously from Sturbridge and Charlton. Now, if you take a look, here's where we first came. Obviously, when towns founded, they needed meeting houses. They needed it was actually a law that you needed to have churches. The first one, Elm Street Congregation,
founded in 1801, and they even have a replica of that initial church building from 1801 that's on the back of that float.
And actually, what was even a little more interesting on the back were actually the bells and bows, their bell choir, which we usually only see at Christmas. Here comes the Methodist Church.
Yep, First United Methodist Church, which also will have a replica of their church as part of their float. And that's one of the things that's really great about this parade. We've seen parades in town, whether it be Southbridge Fest or otherwise, and it's been a long time since we've seen actual floats.
And they took great pride. They would come into meetings. They were talking to us ahead, just trying to figure out what they could get away with floats, what would fit under the power lines, what would work. It was just wonderful, the community involvement.
And we have now some of the town officials, town manager Ron Santangelo, and various town councilors, Councilor Auclair and Manna and Carrasco and Vecchia and so forth.
Wasn't it good to see Councilor Vecchia out riding in the gator, I know, but it was just great to see him come. Here comes, obviously town services started about the same time, the DPW being very well represented. Each of their departments have their trucks polished and ready to go today.
And we're going to see quite a few of them, almost 20 or so, just under 20, I think, 17 or 18 of these different vehicles, and it just shows you the wide scope of work that these folks do down at the DPW barn around town for us, whether it's sanding or street sweeping or paving and lining, and we'll see a lot of family members that are with these guys.
I think it's great watching their kids sitting up in the trucks with them, just enjoying the day.
Yep, some of them here with balloons in the cab and everything.
I mean, it's great. They're giving up their day off to come out and do this, but to be able to spend it with their family, it's just wonderful. And they're having a good time. It seems obvious that to me.
And you can see all the flags decorating the different trucks. This one here with 4 different flags right up front, and you can see them on the ones coming up as well. And from what I understand, we've got one of the plows that'll be coming by, and throughout town will kind of be using the plow to almost simulate a wave and kind of give the kids a thrill as well.
I think so. And actually, the other thing, as we're seeing kind of the street sweeper coming up at this point early on, and I think he's going to be indications that he is actually going to be almost like a Shriner. He's going to spin around and do tricks with the street sweeper.
Makes it look like his daughter's driving it at the moment, but not actually the case. Just kind of looks that way from that side.
When I saw it, there's actually a steering wheel up there, and she thought she was driving too, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But a nice big turnout here.
That must be the plow that you're talking about with the wave.
And you can see some of the folks lining here on Hamilton Street along the businesses and so forth. But all reports are that Main Street itself is kind of the hotbed where everybody seems to be lined up from Cumberland Farms all the way down towards Oak Ridge Cemetery and beyond.
And past. And I heard that Crystal Street is also pretty well packed as well. I mean, if you were looking for a place, all you had to do was follow the red line. The DPW did so much work helping us with this parade, making the town look so good with all the mulching, the cleaning up. We've got our Sunday best on, or even putting that extra red line down for us for the parade route. Up and above these guys went. as all departments did, and can't appreciate it enough.
And one of the things that the DPW did as well is they lined all their vehicles up chronologically, so the oldest to the most recent purchase. And now we've got the fire department coming through, and we're going to see just a parade within a parade just of fire engines here.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, we were talking about all the departments coming through. Chief DeFranzio driving that right there, that little Jeep. At one point, he had told me, don't worry, I'll get you fire engines. And I got an email from him one night, and he says, I've got about 20. So you got about 20 trucks? What he did was he managed to get some of our present trucks. He managed to get some of our older trucks that are in private collections, and then he reached out to other towns as well. I mean, this is obviously the biggest deal that they pulled off, getting Tiger 7 out. I mean, many of you are used to seeing that if you watch town council meetings on Monday night up on the stage. They disassembled it. The historian in me was just really worried it wouldn't go back together, but there it is in all its glory going down the parade.
They did a really great job, and we see some of the firemen here going back, 150 years or so, when you don't have fire engines, where you're literally carrying your hoses
on a cart, just like that. And these are some of the older, I believe, some of the oldest Southbridge trucks that are now in private collections.
Right.
That he reached out to get.
You will not see this one rumbling up your street any time soon, fortunately. We see here, this one, Old Ironsides, as they've built it. Engine number 1. And right behind it, we see A.J. Larochelle riding the front of that next engine. A familiar face to many in town. And quite a veteran over at the fire station on Elm Street.
It looks like all these guys were just out. They're out with us. They want to have a good time today. We all go, yeah, how are you? Yeah, that's it.
Gary Peck driving. Peck family, obviously, with a great history within the fire department, as do the Larochelles and so many others, the Langevins. There's a rich history there.
Here's another one. I think what the chief did was he lined up all the engine 1s, and now I think we're looking at some of our other old engines. What number is that?
Looks like an engine 3. Engine 3 here. That's one of the ones that we saw in the Oxford Terracentennial parade a couple years ago.
Again, in
as
private
we scouted,
hands.
correct.
As in private hands. It's great these people just brought them back out for.
Another engine 3, it appears.
That's the more recent engine 3. I think that's what he was going to do. That one actually, it looked like the people on there I happen to know. I believe they're from Sturbridge. And there's our more modern engine 3. So we just had 3 3s. And here come the old ladder trucks.
Ladder 1. Looks like Jacques Kalanian in charge of Ladder 1 here. And I'm sure the kids are all getting a thrill, not just seeing the fire trucks, but hearing the engines, hearing everything. Bringing up the rear. Here comes a tower truck, Tower 1.
It's just impressive to see all this machinery out.
Kelly Manning of the fire department taking Tower 1 out for the spin.
And we're still in the Southbridge fire trucks here at this point.
We are. This is a forestry truck here. Looks like Dylan Langley driving that vehicle. Not exactly your standard golf cart there, obviously, but
no.
a little bobcat that they can use for certain sites.
It's actually got a hose on the back of it, and obviously the fire department, the ambulance. And now we're going to see coming up behind them all the towns that are also invited. There's Millbury,
who also just recently celebrated a big anniversary.
Nice for these people to come on out. And Spencer, behind it, actually sent out one of their older trucks that they probably just send to parades. I would not think that Spencer's actually got that in service right now.
I know they're in some fiscal constraints out there, but I'm hoping that they're doing a little better than that. Engine 4 out of Spencer. Decent shot there on that right-hand side where you could see kind of
just the length
2, 3, 4 people deep along Hamilton Street. Absolutely. On that right-hand side. Right here by the Hiker Monument.
Yeah, and trying to see. Oh, we can probably see it on the side here.
This looks like out of Thompson. East Thompson Volunteer Fire. A lot of volunteer departments out of the quiet corner of Connecticut.
Most of them don't. Yeah, that's what they have. And
This one here looks like it might be out of Rhode Island based on the license plate. We don't necessarily have a full list of each fire engine because the chief was coordinating that.
It's engine 3, but we're behind that. We've got another one coming up here. This is
looks like a Webster.
Yeah, tanker out of Webster.
We don't usually take kindly to Webster folk in town, but we'll take this one here.
And I mean, if you look down the stretch, there's no end to these guys.
No, they're still coming.
There's no end, and this is
looks like Holden.
Holden.
So even out Worcester way coming down to help us out.
And putting bunting on there and getting that.
That bunting might have been there in 1966, though.
Could have been.
Here comes the Sturbridge Fire Department right next door.
Okay, they had one of their yeah, look at that.
They've got a little tyke up front waving to the crowd.
Kind of like the DPW, but get the families involved as well.
Wearing their formal whites. Here comes the Charlton Fire Department. On the left-hand side, the passenger side, is Craig Langevin, a Southbridge resident, whose family has been involved in the Southbridge Department, and obviously he in Charlton, and his nephew Matt out in Dudley.
Look at that.
And actually Matt Langevin's going to be in this Dudley truck right behind him, also in the passenger seat. So very Langevin rich here today.
They've got, as you say, a strong history. It's right that they be in this.
Absolutely. They've done a lot for the town in various ways and forms.
I mean, that's I think the thing that impressed me the most about today is just how everybody came out and just in a unified fashion. There's Dudley coming at us here. And it wasn't pulling teeth to get these people to come out and to celebrate with us. It's a wonderful turnout.
And I know you, as the guy kind of at the helm of putting the parade together, you were still getting calls and emails and messages
till yesterday. I mean, I actually got one we put one in yesterday. I mean, people were just jumping on board, and just such cooperation down in the staging area, as you can imagine. It was no easy feat to get all these trucks in line and all these groups in line. Just such cooperation by not only the participants but the neighborhoods. They were out on their porch cheering us on. Who's up? Here come the kids. The schools came. Obviously, town services and schools were early in Southbridge history. So that's Charlton Street right there. And I'll tell you, in the staging area, these kids were more than excited about being in a parade.
Absolutely. I mean, parades are really for children as a kind of a rule. They're somebody who's going to really enjoy it, and especially to be in it and be able to tell people.
Absolutely.
These are the kind of kids that 50 years from now are going to tell their kids and their grandkids about being in this sort of a parade and what they saw.
Yeah, I mean, this is their vocabulary parade. They've got their English, their letters,
and even the teachers. You could see a lot of the teachers are dressed up in some different sorts of costumes, trying to get into the spirit here.
I think it's just great, and I imagine some of those are parents as well.
Absolutely,
it's exactly what we need in this town. You know, cooperation upon everybody. It's all going well, and of course, coming up right behind Charlton Street will be West Street, and here comes West Street.
And we're back to neighborhood schools here in Southbridge. So as opposed to prior to that, for a while it became kind of that turnstile idea of this school is for 2nd and 3rd grade. This is for 4th and 5th. We've gone back to neighborhood schools. So these are all kids that'll be together with their teachers for several years.
One of the earlier companies, isn't it great to see these kids? One of the earlier companies in town, Dexter, that came in. I mean, some people remember it as Russell Harrington or Harrington. It's just, and there's their president, the CEO, marching right there, Mr. Pepple.
And they've been in town for nearly 200 years themselves, since 1818, as you can see on the side of that truck.
Yeah.
And I believe they've got a pro fisherman who's well known in the area, in the field rather, driving that truck there that they sponsor and help out. And they've got a big bus here with some of their chefs.
Yeah, they're calling it. Look at that. I mean, talk about a company turnout, you know, just to get these people out on a Saturday. I know they're running an event down there as well today. And they've been wonderful to us. They let us stage in parts of their area. They let us actually lead some of the bigger armored vehicles that came in yesterday in one of their lots last night. Just very wonderful people.
It's not often you have a tank sitting in your parking lot.
Multiple tanks, yes. Oh, this is St. John Paul II Parish. This is their youth group at this point.
Yep, their youth ministry.
Their life teen. Very active in trying to get the youth. If you've ever on a Sunday, the 6 o'clock mass, it's very different music. This is a lot of their band playing. I mean, and running along, and this poor guy just strumming as he's walking.
A little saxophone player next to him.
And they're singing. They're going on. They're going. And more of them.
With their balloons. And they're handing out some of the balloons. And that's one of the things that people often see. And, the balloons
Absolutely.
and handouts, things they're giving out to the people along the route. Little mementos and favors. And coming up right behind them, another institution in town, one of the big sponsors of everything we've done here, Southbridge Savings Bank.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, and we were talking about building the floats, the churches that built replicas of the churches, or even the companies that went out and did things like this fine float here. And again, we can't say enough for these employees to come out to join in today. That's a big difference. If you think about back in 1966 when the parade happened, businesses didn't necessarily open on Saturdays, but now people are trying to. Some actually shut today for us.
Right, some of the banks in particular, and
actually shut so that they could actually be part of it. I just great support.
See Southbridge Savings Bank, their mascot Moolah the cow, making his way down Hamilton Street here, and Southbridge Savings Bank has been in town, an institution since 1848. I'm trying to recall. Is Calvin Page? Was he president of Southbridge Savings? I always forget which bank. Former congressman. I think it was Southbridge Savings.
I think it was. Looking down,
looks like we have Trinity coming up next.
Trinity Catholic. Not only do we have a rich tradition in this town of public schools, but obviously of the parochial schools. That's a big difference from 66. In 66, you would have had three grammar schools, at least one. I believe Marion Hill was already combined in the high schools by that point, or it was shortly going to be. But these are, again, very active within the community. One of the first ones to actually get in that they were going to have a float in this parade.
Absolutely. They were in early, and they did it well. And it says only 25 years, but they're really kind of the current version of what was once Marion Hill and St. Mary's and so forth.
The very first parochial school in town would have fit in this 1800 slot, which is why they're
and they've just evolved over the years into what is now.
They're new, but obviously, look at that. They made a 3-tiered cake for Trinity.
Yep, the Bobcats, the school mascot, the Bobcats, and they've got a lot of people there.
And I'm looking out there. I'm seeing parents. I'm seeing kids.
Teachers
I'm
are
seeing
in there.
Almost their entire faculty is turned out there. Quite a few I recognize as they're going by. That's Brandon Vennick, the music director, leading the kids. Oh, and in the middle there, in the gray sweatshirt, that's one of the junior high teachers. That's Margot LaFleche, who in the 66 parade actually marched with the young Italian girls dancing in an Italian costume. Now she's back as a teacher, marching with her kids, and there's the TCA bus.
Yeah, and there's some kids on that bus. Coach Tony Postali driving the bus, I believe.
Yep.
And they'll be followed immediately by the Southbridge High School marching band,
which is sounding really, really good these days. If you take a listen to them as they march down right now.
Dr. Garcia leading the band on the far left, and they're not quite the size of Shepherd Hill, but they certainly make up for it in spirit.
This is again what we asked for, different fraternal, all different kinds of groups. This is Union Saint Jean Baptiste. On the left, Ted Bartlett, very active in planning a lot of these trips that the Union puts out. And next to him is a gentleman portraying Felix Gatineau.
Yeah, he's got the sash that even denotes that he's there as Felix Gatineau.
Had a little trouble with it, but he's got it back on. good to see him off of his usual perch up on the.
Good to see he's got legs and arms after
Yeah,
all.
and this is what's this?
Looks like Holy Trinity Church, also down on Hamilton Street.
And what wonderful people they were this morning in the staging area. They opened up their church for restrooms. And when people went over there, they were greeted with pastries and coffee they were giving to the people doing the parade. Here comes the Greek Orthodox Church.
Yep, St. George, organized and founded rather back in 1910. And we don't often think of Southbridge in terms of a large Greek population, but there's a pretty good-sized Greek population in town.
And obviously they still have quite a bit of pride as they're marching here. This is still them. And the cars, I mean, a lot of these organizations entered cars for the people that were older that still wanted to be in the parade but couldn't walk. So these are cars with some of their older parishioners in them.
Right, and they've obviously got the Greek flag that they're flying
all
proudly.
Over the place.
Absolutely.
They're waving that everywhere. I mean, we did reach out obviously to all groups, and it was a great involvement. Not all were in the parade. I mean, for instance, the Polish aren't in the parade, but they were great letting us have the Polish Club for our all our dance classes before the Gala Ball. Here comes Savers Bank.
And these are probably my favorite banners. They were done kind of in this old-fashioned sort of design to make it look like something that would have been done 100 years ago. It even here, it almost looks like something you're expecting to see Mr. Haney from Green Acres roll up in.
They were really excited when they let me know they finally had come up with a cart and a horse. This is what they really wanted to do. Again, a lot of their employees just getting a cart ride here. Through the town, waving flags.
And here comes Jacob Edwards Library, some of the Board of Trustees,
Dick Whitney.
Max Gullickson, and his wife, who's a member of their Board of Directors.
Absolutely. Yeah, hi, Max.
Wearing his Cooking with Max shirt.
Well, that's Southbridge for you. Harrington Hospital, another institution right there. Way over on the left, that was actually Betsy Pepple holding the flag, who's very active there, and also the wife of Mr. Pepple, who is from Dexter. This is more of the Ladies Auxiliary, I believe, of Harrington.
Correct.
In some of these old cars.
Vanity plate up front, live fast. And we're going to see a lot of these classic cars a little later on as well. Some really remarkable pieces.
Again, these are some of the people that really just wanted to be in the parade, weren't going to be able to walk the length. And here comes, of course, Harrington on wheels. So not only auxiliary, but and that will be heading up after the parade to the festival. It'll be outside of McMahon Field, giving free screenings for people. It'll be right, I believe, right on Cole Ave.
You can see this most often over at the hospital.
Sitting in the front, yeah, in that parking lot.
Here comes the Southbridge Rotary Club. They're going to be really at the helm of the great fireworks extravaganza in August, and they're showing us a lot of the big sponsors that have helped us out put not only this and the fireworks and so much on, whether it's we've got Mr. Morrill and Ron Cherniski.
Ron Cherniski, and I mean, you're looking at this, it's just wonderful. The amount of work and effort they put in organizing. Is that
That's
Ken
Mr. Risner, yeah.
Yeah, there's
a lot of familiar
great conversation
faces.
with him this morning in the staging area.
It's Terry Lyle from the Credit Union, and some of their students, the high school, Southbridge High School, has a student version of Rotary now.
Oh, and look at this. I was really excited when they told me they did this. They actually went out and got, it actually belongs in Worcester at Sun Lights is pulling it. This is the oldest American-made calliope in existence, and here it is in our 200th parade. Let's give a listen to that.
I feel like we're at an old fairgrounds back a while ago. Victorian era.
They were playing it through the staging area. Oh, the Old Guys Car Club. That's Ed Stanley driving up front, his son Brent in the Jeep behind it, and giving a wave. Actually, my backyard neighbor. And, excuse me, and I believe that's Joe from Union, Connecticut.
Right down the road.
And I think it's Renee.
And coming up next, the St. Rita Society. And we've got some folks who have helped out with the Bicentennial involved with that group as well. You can see Helen Lenti, who everybody in town knows, former town clerk, and who does so much in town. We have
Karen Pettinelli from our committee.
We have Steve Brady's wife, Charlene.
Yeah. And Karen jumped in here. Oh, here come the Lions. Again, another great group here.
They're all dressed up pretty well, dressed to the nines. And they've got a few golf carts and a lot of their guys walking. Tim Cook is their president, wearing the little flat cap on the left of the screen. Some familiar faces for many of you in town, for sure.
A lot of familiar faces.
Some of the real movers and shakers of town. Of course, the Lions Club, one of their big pieces is the Sightmobile, in terms of one of their real missions is trying to make sure that everybody has vision and that access to get glasses and make sure that you're able to see well. These guys do a lot in town as well.
Absolutely. And like I was saying, while we got a second as they go by, some of the organizations might not be in the parade, like the Polish Club, have really stepped up and let us use the facilities. I'm thinking some of the photography studios in town have worked with us, donating their time, Village Photo, or even the Copy Center. I mean, the town came together, and it wasn't about what's in it for me, it was let's make this work for the town, and that was just such a great feeling.
Absolutely. We have the Italian Club coming up next. You can see Joe Bonadias with the American flag, but you've got the Italian flag coming a little back into the picture on the far side in a moment. And the Italian Club has been in town since 1939. They went into a little bit of a dormancy period, but they have come back with a vengeance.
I mean, they were just so proud to be down in that staging area. It wasn't that long ago. They were down just a few members, and there was almost a threat that they weren't going to be around. But now they're very strong, as you're going to see. I think they're advertising their sauce-off that's coming up.
Right, they have the sauce-off. They have all kinds of events coming up, and they're booking their hall again. And it's really become a rejuvenated club.
A great story, a great comeback story there.
We'll see some of the older members there, and we'll see some of the younger members coming up here. Guys like Joe Bonadias and Scott Guerreri. We see Scott there.
That's Scott there in the wave. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantaroni. We've got a lot of those folks that are really making a point of remembering their heritage.
And that's exactly what we were hoping for.
I think we'll have to restart the ancient Hibernian.
This is another one from St. John Paul II, but this is the Spanish ministry. So this is the Spanish ministry coming through. They came into, the Hispanics came into Southbridge around 1958, somewhere around there, about the same time I came into Southbridge. And if you're looking here, I mean, with the salsa band.
And they're representing numerous Latin American countries. It's not just a Puerto Rico piece. We've got people from all over the place, Dominican and Haitian and
I got to tell
everything.
You, this was one of the groups having the most fun in the staging area, and just look at the pride in their faces. Look at that pride, and that's what our town's about. I mean, if you think about the difference, even from the '66 parade, this is the difference right here. It's still, you still have the ethnicity, but it's just so much pride, and just such a different face of South, a universal face.
We have Pop Warner just getting by us there, a small group from Pop Warner, followed by the Eagle Riders, who are representing the Fraternal Order of Eagles, which is based down on Mill Street. And they've got quite a bit of guys riding their bikes, and they've been doing various bike runs for charity, and they do a lot of things down at the Eagles Club now as well. And they're riding to take part in this parade. And it's a beautiful day to be on a motorcycle, that's for sure.
A few of these we put out of sequence when they came to, they would, for some, no, this is Southbridge Historical Society coming. I believe that's a Vietnam era truck that they've borrowed for Southbridge Historical Society.
And they've been around since 1967, so they started just after the Bicentennial.
I think they were actually an offshoot of that pride of the Sesquicentennial.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the Sesquicentennial.
And I think that's when it started. Waving out from colonial costumes. Well,
we've got it all.
It's the spirit. It's the spirit.
Here comes the Southbridge Cultural Council, and they do a lot of things in town. They sponsor a lot of things in town as well, including the parade and the Bicentennial festivities.
I mean, they absolutely gave us, they were partial sponsors of the Furco String Band with us, and as you can take a look, I believe the float they did, they were trying to highlight all the different things that they do have done in the year, so you're going to see everything from
Gateway Players to Santa Claus to
Celtic band,
right?
Celtic, it's Hunter Foot, I think.
Yep, playing the fiddle.
And
we've got Maggie the Clown riding a high-wheel bicycle, penny farthing, and they do a lot.
Here we go. There's Gateway on there, and of course Santa from the Festival of Giving Trees. Yeah, it's good to see you too, Santa. Here's Maggie the Clown. Yeah, there you are.
She loves the camera. And the kids love Maggie.
And she'll be up at the field as well after. Oh, these are some of the military vehicles from the Collings Foundation in Stowe. A series of half-tracks tanks. Again, a big thanks to another local business that stepped up huge. When we got these arranged for these to come from Stowe, we needed to transport them here, and Pioppi Construction, out of the goodness of their hearts, sent trucks up to haul this equipment. And as you can tell, I mean, these are the half tracks, but coming behind them are a Hellcat and a Sherman tank. You need specialized trailers to be moving these kinds of things.
And I want to stress too.
There's Jim Satilli on that one.
Yeah.
One of our veterans waving.
One of the things that people have asked me coming into this is about these tanks and thinking that there's some sort of replicas or not real. These are legitimate, real things that would be out fighting and you know, going over the trenches in World War II or whatever it may be. These are actual things. These are not things that are made to look like it's a tank. No. These are actual tanks.
Collings Foundation is a museum. They've got military vehicles, lots of planes. I was challenged to get tanks in this parade. We managed to do it by Steve Brady, the other co-chair, and we got them as tanks. And they're coming down the street. They actually came into town yesterday. Pioppi Construction brought them in, and they spent the night behind Dexter Russell. Again, some of these are their drivers, but on some of these vehicles, they're also local vets who've been riding. We've been able to give them a place. What a place of honor, too.
Absolutely.
You know, in the parade and some of the...
Coming up now is the Center of Hope, a local nonprofit that does a lot of great things in town. They do a lot of different services, and they help out a lot of different folks.
And I'll tell you, when they actually came to me and said, "Oh, we thought we'd done it earlier. Are we too late?" There's always room for Center of Hope. We got them obviously in. Look at them; they're just enjoying themselves on their float, waving. Central Mass Wanderers.
Yeah, Central Mass Wanderers. We're going to see another parade within a parade here, just with these different vehicles and some really amazing.
I think they go from about the 1930s up to about the 1960s. They're chronologically listed. They've got about 20 vehicles that they've entered, being driven by their owners.
And these guys take such pride and honor in their vehicles. Even when they were pulling in today for staging, they would pull in, and a lot of them got out as soon as they got out, waiting to get into the parade. They're out there polishing their cars.
They were just listening. I mean, if you take a look at this, they're having a good time riding again with their families. That's what it's all about. Family day. And look at it.
Some of these are cars that Mom or Pop might have been driving in and around that Sesquicentennial back in '66, before these were classics.
Yeah, no, I absolutely remember my dad having a car very similar to that at that point.
I don't see any Little Nash Ramblers, though.
No, not here.
I do know that once they get to Main Street, they're planning to kind of help put on a show with some burnouts and kind of show their work.
I think they did a few coming out of the staging area, from what I'm told.
You can hear some of the mufflers on these guys, and they're amazing pieces of American ingenuity here.
This is just unbelievable cars.
They don't build them like this anymore.
No, not at all.
Of course, at the same time, what do you think that some of these guys are getting for mileage?
Exactly. But look, again, here's a great shot. You just see how long this string of cars just is. And again, we can thank the weather, because I guarantee if it was raining, a lot of these cars probably wouldn't have come out this morning.
Not at all. Especially these ones with the tops down. It's nice to be able to see them out and enjoy this.
You know, they told me there were 20. I think they're going to beat that number. I think they had more people show up than they said.
Probably so.
It's just looking that way. Everybody wants to film the parade. Look
Absolutely, even on bicycles.
It's great.
It's a pretty good angle, I bet you.
Yeah. It just shows. Even every generation wants to remember this. This is phenomenal.
Absolutely. And a lot of these guys are just thrilled to be able to take their car out and show them off to people as what they've done.
They know they're being appreciated.
You see some muscle cars as we get a little further along.
Absolutely.
And some of these cars are just invaluable. These things are pretty expensive, worth a lot of money these days.
I'd say they're probably not out in the driveway in the winter, that's for sure.
I think that's an easy choice there. This looks like just a small corner of Jay Leno's garage, most likely.
There you go. And speaking of Jay, he does have an old Nash, one of his cars.
Dick Tebow. Some of the others.
The colors are amazing on these cars.
A little bit more variety than what you're going to see on the lots today, where it's pretty much white, black, blue, and red, or something.
Or whatever
to that
the color
effect.
of the year is, yeah. Oh, are you? Yeah. Everybody just seems out having a good time. Showing their spirit, showing their patriotism.
Look how not to take away from the cars, but again, we mentioned already the nice work that DPW did. Those lines look pretty sharp right there with the yellow and the red.
And the town came together. It cleaned up well. I mean, people sitting up in the
parking
lot up there.
I've had a lot of people who have told me in the last several days that they've never seen the town look so clean and nice and beautiful.
It's wonderful. Absolutely, and that's the town services, DPW coming together. Getting muscle cars.
Yep, that's Moose Pallone. Bringing up and he's showing it off. That's not a surprise knowing Moose.
Oh, and here, of course, McDonald's came into town in the early 70s as well.
We've got Ronald McDonald waving here.
They came into town around 1973 is when they opened down in the San Jose section.
And he'll be followed by Gateway Players, which came in right after that. And Gateway's got folks representing numerous shows here.
The costumes, it looks like they've gone back several years.
They have. Those who are not in costumes, they have cast T-shirts for the different shows they may have been involved in as directors or backstage. We've got Mike Dupuy up front. I'm not sure what costume that's supposed to be, but he's got that big wig with the horns and.
You know, again, it goes to show you all the, for a town, Southbridge, we have little bits of everything. It's just wonderful. The people are coming out like this. They're waving away.
Joe Sawyer as
probably from nonsense there, wouldn't you think?
They've got everything from the Wizard of Oz to Charlie Brown. You can see Charlie Brown there waving with his zigzag T-shirt there. All sorts of different shows.
And right behind them,
the literacy volunteers. They're housed down at Jacob Edwards Library.
There you go. Yeah, we're going to do wonderful work here and down as well. And following them, it looks like it. Oh, one of the local businesses, Myra's Unisex Hair Fashion, who's actually been here quite a while in town.
1977, according to their banner.
Yeah.
Not a big crowd, but they I'm sure are probably open today and making sure that they're working. I believe these are some of the children of some of the employees. Because I think they are open today, as you say. Quinnebog Valley Council of Arts and Humanities, QVCAH. A little easier to do that one.
Yeah.
And they're another one who do a lot of different programs in town. They've got the old Wells home.
Oh, and they started off so strong. And I remember very well the early days that my mom was one of the founding members of the Arts Council, and at that point the Arts Council was affiliating with Gateway as part of it, which is why they were there. The Chamber was actually in that building at that point. It was just a Wonderful, wonderful.
And they actually housed a lot of our initial meetings before we were a town entity. They housed a lot of the planning and meetings prior to this Bicentennial starting up.
Here's a local builder.
Morin Builders.
Morin Builders. And I love this float. I mean, if you take a look at the house, and actually they've got 2 floats. They've got 2 trucks pulling floats. Morin here is pulling these little house fronts. This is a family business, and I believe
showing all the family members that have been in the business since 1938, based on their names. Mark driving the truck there.
Absolutely. I mean, they originally had said they were going to bring in 1 truck, and the last week or so said, "Can we put in a second?" And we said no to nothing.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
The more the merrier. As long as we can fit it, we're putting in. His is also still Morin. They had to have a birthday cake to wish Southbridge happy birthday. So the giant cake being towed by this pickup.
Rumor is that one of our committee members, who's busy up at the field right now, but Mike Janes was pretty eager at eyeing that cake from what I heard.
Well, maybe we can get it up to the field for him after. The Scouts are coming right up behind it. The Scouts are keeping a little distance from the cake there.
Well, they know Mike. They're not going to get in between them.
It looks like I think we put all the Scouts together. The Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts,
Girl Scouts.
They're all there.
Scouting as a whole kind of all started about that same time period. Coming into Southbridge in particular. And these are obviously a lot of kids who do a lot of just really great things. They learn a lot of different skills and abilities and learn a lot of teamwork and leadership skills.
And the Girl Scouts there. So Barbara Jernigan, who led them for so long. Her daughter Katie next to her.
Surely a few
Who's
future
probably following
Eagles.
in Mom's
I'm sure.
Mom's footsteps and rounding up the young Girl Scouts there.
And here comes Head Start behind them. WCAC, they're up at the old Southbridge High School on Cole Avenue. Is where they're set up these days, and they're helping out a lot of young kids kind of get literally just that, a head start on their education and social skills and more.
And just like when we saw the public schools or the parochial schools, here it is. I mean, just youth. That's Southbridge's future right there.
We've got LaSalle Reception Center where we housed the Gala Ball back in February. They're coming up next.
LaSalle actually, if you haven't been in there recently, wonderful, wonderful place. I mean, they've redone the entire insides of it. It does not look like what I remembered it as a gym, and I played basketball in it as a kid. LaSalle, and these are some of their organizers in the cars here. Margaret Ferran in the passenger seat in that front car. LaSalle is actually becoming a destination for a lot of weddings, a lot of bookings, and just there's a lot of history at LaSalle, which is one of the reasons we wanted to actually have that gala there.
Absolutely, and they're followed up by Big Y Market down at what so many of us still refer to as the fair, down at that plaza, the Big Y Plaza.
Absolutely. And Big Y, we're pretty quick to sign on board, and they wanted to, again, got some of their employees' time away. I believe they're still open right now. But
yeah, grocery stores are not apt to close on a Saturday.
House of Destiny Ministries. And taking a look now at these children, again, one of the many newer denominations in town, but obviously a very active one.
Right, and they're very multinational.
Absolutely.
They're not... a lot of people kind of associate them as being a local Hispanic church, but they've got people from all kinds of backgrounds involved there. And then we see here Councilor Carrasco, who was at the beginning of the parade. He snuck back in as a pastor for that church. He snuck back into the parade there with his father.
He doesn't seem to be doing too much walking, though. He seems to be doing a lot of riding. And Osterman Propane. There were companies that wanted to come in with their trucks. Osterman's has been in the area for so long, and again, a very early entry, one of the earlier ones that showed their support and came up and said, we want to be in your parade.
Absolutely. And they've got some of their folks that have done a great deal of work in the community as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the support's being shown. Looks like parade's probably slowing up a little as it turns on the street here. Where all the best intentions of spacing it out, obviously having this many entries on this run, we're congesting the streets up a little bit here. What a great problem to have.
And what a great job by the Southbridge Police Department handling the traffic and the details to make sure that as much as this part of town is kind of blocked off and closed off, that everything is seamless elsewhere.
This is Miss Central Massachusetts, Elizabeth Lamica, in this sports car, and she is the reigning Miss Central Mass, going for Miss Massachusetts, and she is from Southbridge.
Yep, she lives up, her father, a firefighter here in town.
And she will also be hosting the Little Miss and Mr. pageant up at Full Ave after, at the high school, at the festival that we're hoping all these people go up to, a wonderful festival up there. Marine Service Center.
Down in the Sandersdale part of town.
Yeah, and they are towing, I believe, an antique Chris Craft boat is what they are going to have. Hard to think, you don't tend to think of a Marine Service Center in Southbridge, but we've got one. And there's not much we don't have in this town. So as they're coming by, you can kind of just see. Yeah, that's a beautiful old boat. And it looks like we got a little bit of a space. Someone's going to be coming up next as we make our way through. Again, just thanks to all these people for coming out today. And thanks to all the people that lined the streets. And just, again, it made our day showing up. We've got coming up here...
I believe this is the Equine, Northeast Equine.
Northeast Equine Transport. They were relatively new to the area. They're up, I believe,
on
just
Gulfwood or off of
Gulfwood in that area. They transport. Originally, they wanted to bring. This is why I trust them. They wanted to bring trailers with horses in them, but didn't think the live horses would sustain the staging. So they actually set this up.
Yeah, sitting around for a few hours in pretty warm weather. And
if I wanted somebody to transport my horses, that's what I'd want, people who care for the animals.
Absolutely. We've got Tassie's Fuel coming up next here, bringing one of their trucks in. Flag waving and all.
Driver waving as well.
As well as his son, it appears, in the passenger seat. And they're really right down the street from where we are right now, down on Hook Street.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to be hearing, I'm pretty sure we're getting close at this point to the... What are we going to...
Should have the Shriners coming up any time now here.
And the Shriners themselves, yeah, it's the Shriners. I got to tell you, the Shriners themselves, when I contacted them out in Springfield and said, how much room do you need in the staging? They actually told me to leave between a quarter and a half a mile to line up. They are bringing out, I've been told, a larger contingent, larger than they often bring out to the Big E. They've pulled out all the stops. They bring in their own parade to parade. These are probably some of their dignitaries carrying the banner to lead it all off.
And they've got quite a few guys there coming and representing the Melha Shriners, including some local guys. We have John Shaw and Jeff Walker and others.
They've asked the locals as well. And some of the older Shriners sitting here on this, still representing.
Now, from here on out, everything we're going to see is all from the Shriners group, and they've got anything and everything you could think of. They've pretty much got it. You can hear the bagpipes coming up. One of the things that I was most looking to hear.
Yeah, they got a kilty band. I mean, I'm sure these are some of the Shriners who are still showing their support by just riding, because I'm sure in their earlier days in the parades, they were very active. And they're just everywhere.
And the Shriners as a whole, they do a lot of just amazing work for children. We see here actually a representation of the Shriners Hospital for Children.
Look at that, a scale model of the hospital.
And that hospital is set up where these kids get to go in there and they don't pay a dime for their treatment, which is just amazing.
Okay, here are their directors staff, followed by that kilty band. The pipe band is coming.
Music to my ears, the bagpipe.
I think coming behind that, let's see, we got probably more of their officials in the car. I think that this is not their first parade, as you can tell.
Not at all.
Comes some of the little motorcycles, the mini bikes, and the smaller motorcycles are coming down. These guys in the staging area early on were just entertaining it. I mean, the minute they got them off the trailers, they were entertaining people in the staging area, just going in and out of the vehicles, checking everything out, keeping the party going, getting everybody ready to just roll out and have a good time.
And these guys enjoy parades as much as anybody. One of the ones on the mini bikes I saw going up and down River and Crane Street,
That's it,
just
yeah?
checking everything out for himself, taking it all in beforehand. Because these guys won't see the parade itself, so they have to kind of do that before the parade.
Absolutely. And quite a few of the motorcycles are here. Everything from very small to big bikes. What we got here? Again, this is...
We've got some live music coming up here.
Oh, I think this is this the... No, the clowns.
We got the clowns
The
first.
Clowns, the Shrine of Clowns are coming. Oh, look at this. They're hamming it right up for the cameras right there and waving.
The one on the right bringing what he has labeled as the best seat in the house.
Yeah, look at... Yeah, and he seems to enjoy it.
He does. Little pig chef hat. He's going to come right up to our cameraman here.
How are ya? Good to see ya.
And even their parade goers taking pictures as they go. Why the frown?
Shriners Clowns. Look at that. Again, now looks like
some of their dignitaries and leaders of the different groups. They have so many different little
they
groups and factions involved.
And classic cars here as well.
There's some vintage autos.
And nice autos beside. Look at this. Showing everything from vintage to the muscle cars themselves. Oh, and it looks like right behind that, here comes the Oriental band of the Shriners.
Some very vibrant color here. You can see the little...
almost trying to give the mummers a run for their money there with the color, but...
You can see some of the little mini cars. You can see John Shaw of Southbridge and Jeff Walker, actually. The two on the left there are right here.
I mean, this is what a lot of people think of when they think of Shriners and parades. These little cars. And I think what I'm seeing coming up is, I mean, they just do these. The street sweeper, from what I heard, was doing these little sweep for the DPW. We're doing those little turns like these little cars. Probably harder to do on a street sweeper than
I would imagine so.
these little cars. But the little cars just coming down the way. Again.
And you can see in the background they're using the ramps where they come up and down, and that's a big part of their show to really entertain the kids.
Absolutely, and I mean, if you're looking at this, I mean, look at this little big rig here, which is just, do you think that as he's coming in, do you think this guy is a big kid at heart or what? If he's driving a truck like that,
I'll tell you, just watching the parade, no matter how big you are, you become a kid watching this. It's really just an entertaining piece.
Look at this guy to have. How'd you like to have one of those in your garage? It's.
His hand barely fits out the window. It looks like.
Well, there he is. He's hanging out of the cab. Again, advertising the hospital.
I'm gonna have to get one of those horns for my cars, aftermarket. Well, even we'll see further down. We already went by. Jeff Walker is a over 6 foot tall kind of guy. Riding those little bikes is amazing to see somebody be able to do that over a long parade route. That's got to be a little rough on the knees.
And again, they do these parades again to raise money for the hospital and the good that they do. It's just all one look. They come in the little cars, go-karts. Well, those are the ones that go up over the ramp.
Right.
While it's moving. And if you watch, there comes one right there. Right down over the moving truck.
And that takes some skill and precision because these guys are just whipping around. They've got their friends and counterparts coming by.
And the ramp truck is moving slowly, but it's moving.
It is. You can see it there. It's got to be quite the unique view, especially, and it's got to be a little heart-pounding the first time you do that.
I think the first time you do that, I think, like I said, it's not the first time for any of these guys. I'm sure they do it often, but that's just something they're having fun.
And there's not a lot of room for error with that, I'm sure.
No. And they're having fun. They're having as much fun as people watching, no doubt.
Right there, you can see the phone number. If you're interested in being able to do that kind of a thing, that's the place to call. Come to Melha Shriner and do a lot of good for so many people, so many kids.
Must be something to say. I'm sure they set it up in the staging area. We've seen that coming down the street. Must be something. Just to get it to some places. They take the front and the back off, I'm sure.
It'll be great seeing that once it actually takes that corner and comes down Main Street. So you're coming down the hill where you can see it from all the way down the hill.
Absolutely. Still with the little cars.
They'll be wrapping up shortly, but we're getting there. And obviously there's a little bit of a gap because they're giving room for the little cars to come back around and come back up and over again.
Interesting paint jobs on these cars. What a wonderful morning it's been for these people in Southbridge watching this. It's amazing. I mean, yeah, hello, sir. Good to see you too.
And I'm sure there's some camera angles that'll be shown, whether it's part of this broadcast or not, that show downtown where you can see just part of that 3,000 plus gathering that's here along this parade route today.
We couldn't have asked for more. And just really remember, the party doesn't stop here. The party goes on after. We're heading up to McMahon Field once it starts winding down. Great entertainment up there with bands, Coltrane and Matthew Sanchez Orchestra and doing salsa and red light, food, rides for the kids, the little Miss and Mr. I mean, this is a day for Southbridge. From the parade to the festival. I mean, there's a lot of people my age that still up here. Here's their fife and drum group. They're too old to march anymore, so they put them on a trailer. That's what they told me. So basically, there's a lot of people my age that talk about the 66 parade, and we can only hope that, 30, 40 years from now, people are going to be talking about the parade this year, and hopefully we gave them that day that you'll remember, just like they did. We tried to pay homage. The Shriners actually closed out the parade in 66. They're doing it here as well. That's their bus. The easiest way to get it to them is to let it be in the parade. So it will follow them out. And shortly you're probably going to be seeing, I wouldn't doubt, some of the vehicles coming back, if the camera's staying up here, back up this way, because while some people had actually will end down on North Street, there are some people who did leave their
vehicles and apparatus.
In the stadium. Right. I mean, the horses with the bank have to get back there. That's where the horse trailer is.
Right, so they're just going to probably loop back up North Street and Brook Street.
So these people here are going to actually get to see it a second time. And I'm imagining by this point, it's probably getting pretty close to that, where the front runners are actually making their way back at this point.
But all in all, it's been a great afternoon, or morning really, actually. Beautiful day here in Southbridge for the Bicentennial Grand Parade. It's been a few years in the planning, and I want to give credit obviously to you, Jim, for doing yeoman's work and so calling in favors and doing everything you can do. And we can see there just a portion
Look at that crowd.
of that crowd all the way up on the wall of Cumberland Farms. They're ready to go. They're looking at this whole thing and checking it out, and I can only imagine what it looks like once you actually take that corner and see downtown.
I mean, look at these crowds. And I would think that Main Street's the prime area where most people were. This is just, it's amazing, that people came out today. We are a great town in so many ways, and today people forgot all the little glitches that might go with being at any town. They came out, they left the politics aside. Everyone came out with one thing in mind, just have a good time. That's what we wanted, and it's sure looking like it. Police closing or opening the roads back up. They did a wonderful job. Again, we can't thank the departments enough for how cooperative they were with us in pre-meetings, making themselves available, not really shutting us down on anything we wanted to do.
No.
Making some suggestions that actually were very easy to adapt to, but not shutting us down and working with us. And I know the police chief said to me at the beginning, he was only getting how smooth it was running, and that's not only a tribute to our organization and the parade, but the citizens of town here just coming out to have a good time and just enjoying themselves.
And I think that's kind of where we can leave it, is thanking them as well. It's just the people of Southbridge for coming out and taking part, coming out and supporting, coming out and helping organize, and with the members of our committee, and coming out to watch this parade here today in Southbridge, because it's for them, it's by them, for them, as we would say.
And we can't thank them enough. We hope we gave you a day to remember. That was our, and even though the parade is coming to an end, the day is not coming to an end. There's the festival at the field. There are other things coming down the road. I mean, the fireworks in August that we mentioned, and some other small things. This is a year to remember. I think one of the things when I said it's a time for us to remember, but it's going to be an event to remember, and hopefully that's what people will do.
And we hope to see everybody over at the airport in August for the big fireworks display. And if you're looking for more information on that, by all means, hit the website, southbridge200.org, or hop onto Facebook, facebook.com/southbridge200. Give us a like, and you'll see all that news as it comes out over the next couple months. And we hope to see you at the next big parade, next big event, folks.
Thank you. Thank you, Southbridge, for letting us do this for you.
Happy 200 year for Southbridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty.